Hello and welcome to Shoreline Music Monthly. This is episode 95. When we're taping tonight, my name is Mark Koshwitz. When we're taping tonight, we're in late April right now, and it's spring's here. Farm market season starting. I saw that the Madison market starts Friday. So keep an eye on that. I mean, a lot of folks that have been on here and will be playing at some of the markets around here. It always feels like spring when the markets start. And I've got someone in the station with me tonight who is actually a return guest. Again, in the weird way that time works, it's been 6 years. So it's crazy. Now, anyone who comes onto the show, you know, everybody's a little busy because, you know, they're musicians, they're doing the thing. This person that's in tonight is like always moving, so it was really cool to be able to get her in here. When she's not playing, she's recording. When she's not doing that, she's supporting, and often facilitating. There's so many different layers here. But I just want to get right in and welcome Terri Lachance.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm like a big onion.
Peel it back. So it's wonderful to have you back. It's been I blinked and 6 years went by.
Yeah.
It was it's astonishing, but. I mean, you are just always in the midst of things. I'm curious to know, the last time you were here, you were with Rob DeSorbo.
Yep.
And it was Just Us had just come out.
Wow.
I'm just curious, I mean, how many albums has there been since that?
All right, so there are 8 now. So yeah, I guess I have done a little bit of work in the meantime.
A little bit.
And what I'm doing now is I have 2 more in progress in 2 different studios, because I have one with Ira Sikowski at Riverway Studio, and then I have another one with Steve Rogers at Tiny Bunker
An
Studio.
alumni of our show as well. Talented musician in his own right.
Yep. So one of the CDs, the one with Ira, is right now already has 21 songs. And the other one has 13 or 14, but I wrote 3 in the last couple of weeks.
On the drive here.
Yeah. And so they will end up there as well. And like I still have to record a few more with Ira as well. But Ira's the CD for Ira is going to be called "Constantly Driving," which makes sense in so many ways.
It really does. Yeah. The last time, if folks want to see the earlier episode, it was episode 55. We're now on 95 here.
Wow.
And it aired in October of 2018.
Wow. It's just a baby then.
Me too. But what we talked more about, you know, when the 2 of you met and when the duo started.
Yep.
So why don't you walk us through, you know, where your start in music came from, you know, just yourself.
All right. So what actually happened with me was, supposedly, there was a guitar that my grandmother had a picture of me holding, like a bass. And I was like 3. And I would go to her and say, you know, like, "Grandma, who is that?" And she'd go, "That's you," you know. And I'm like, "Huh?" And she goes, "You're holding a guitar." And I go, "Oh." So somewhere in my brain, you know, I always had that something about guitars. When I turned 12, I kept asking my mother, "Can I play the guitar? I really want to play the guitar." She'd be like, "Your hands aren't big enough." That was, you know, the theory, I guess, then. She goes, "Take some other instruments in the meantime." So I took violin, and after a year, I said, "No."
That's not it.
And flute, and they literally told me, "Don't come back." After a short while, it's like I faked it the whole way. I couldn't play it really hardly at all. And
I've always felt you gotta, you know, a musician needs to, you know, you gotta find the right one.
Right, and so finally, my mother said, "Yes, you know, you can get a guitar." So I got a guitar, and I got lessons from a woman who is local, and Evelyn Tobias. And what she did was she taught you songs and chords, and how picking patterns and strumming patterns. And that was it. So you came in like that, she handed you a song, we all learned it, we performed it the next day and we came back together. And we would just add songs, And that was obviously, ultimate guitar and all of that stuff.
YouTube and
right.
yeah,
so
yeah.
if you wanted to learn something, you would listen to it 1,000 times and try to figure out what chords they were using. And of course, being who I am, everything was simplified to the 3 chords you could find in the song. And
I remember doing this with the needle.
Yeah.
Lifting it over, moving it back.
Yes, and or even a cassette, like go back, just wind it back, wind it back, wind it back, just be able to hear all the words and the chords and like how to maybe play it. And for me, it was singing it and then trying to figure it out on the guitar. So that was how I started, and then I started writing right away. I had a lot to say, I
still do.
I had, I was wronged by people. I wrote, songs about love and, how it didn't all work out, and then I started moving more into out of myself, and into the world and seeing like the things that I see out there that either need changing or I'm just my perception of it, or events and how they transpire in my mind, and but I feel like I'm still a teacher. Like I teach with songs, and
which was your actual vocation
yes,
as well, right?
Exactly.
For many years.
40 years. So, but I think I've always been active in, I don't think I've changed my character in a lot of ways. I mean, I started in the Peace Corps out of college. I was always, even in college, I wrote songs that were, about saving the world, or, how maybe the government wasn't looking out for us the way we wanted. Justice, social justice. Okay. So this is a song I believe in. It's called One Person Can Change the World. I am a believer that we can all change the world one person at a time, and so I sing this song as much as I possibly can. Not sure why some people say one person cannot change the world. It's happened time and time again. Look at the past, my friend. One person changed the buses. One person walked on the moon. One person made your house a home. One person dried your tears. One person calmed your fears. One person believed in what you do. Be that person for one person, and the world will change for you. Be that person for one person, and the world will change for you. We all have the world in our hands. It's what we're meant to do. When you see the problems of our times, that's a sign for you to choose. One person changed the buses. One person walked on the moon. One person made your house a home. One person dried your tears. One person calmed your fears. One person believed in what you do. Be that person for one person, and the world will change for you. Be that person for one person, and the world will change for you. Be that person for one person,
the world will change for you. Be that person for one person, and the world will change for you.
Well, it's eight albums in.
8 albums in, with 2 kind of in the wings there.
So would
ready
that
to
be
go.
9 and 10, or is
9
that 7
10.
and 8?
No, 9 and 10.
Oh, my
9 and
Lord, have
10,
mercy.
yeah. Yep. And the other one will be called Overflow because, you know, what didn't fit on constantly driving is going to be overflowed to the other CD. But yeah.
So if folks want to find out where you are, how would they do that?
I actually have a website. It's Terri Lachance, TerriLachance.com. And I will say, too, for whatever reason, like my Ira is a friend. Not only is he like the person I've done a lot of CDs with, and at one point we decided, you know, that he could help me in other ways, not only just studio time. And one of those ways was to sit down and really map out like what my goals and objectives are, life goals, you know, musician goals.
Yeah, yeah.
And try to think of like the biggest picture you can think of and all of the little steps. And one of them was, do you have a website? And I did not. So like, you know, by August of last year, like, boom, you know, I needed a website. And so I did that. And I feel like there's things that I'm checking off that are very, very helpful. And, you know, and it pushes me a little bit as well, you know, and kind of keeps me grounded. Like, what do I want to do? Like, is that helping me? Is it not really helping me, kind of?
It's a lot of, I mean, just to keep them up, you know, is work. And, I mean, if people want to find you, I mean, Saturday mornings, we know you're at the downtown coffee shop.
Yep, and then I run to Shayna
And then it's Shayna B's in Westbrook.
Most times.
Most times.
Yep.
So, you know, it's not like you're hard to find.
No, I'm not hard to find.
But that's part of, like, you know, I know this coming week you're actually playing downtown coffee shop, but you're there regardless.
Yes, and I
because
usually,
it's a supporting thing. I mean, you know, the musicians need an audience, and sometimes we're our own audience.
Initially, and I love, I mean, David Cooley and the people who started, you know, having the musicians at the downtown coffee shop.
Which is in Meriden, for anyone who doesn't know.
33 West Main Street, Meriden. What ended up happening was they had musicians there before me. And David Cooley came to me and he said, Terri, I can't eat here every week, and I can't really keep up with this. He goes, would you like to take it over? And all I did was post in Facebook, hey, you know, does anybody want to play the downtown coffee shop? 11 to 1, you know. And all these people signed up. And then I figured, well, I should go. Like, I mean, I'm not literally, at first I was the only person eating there, watching that one person play. And people were like, well, you know, it was better than practicing in my room, you know. And then it started to grow.
Turned into a nice community.
Oh my goodness, an amazing community where people sit with each other. They don't even know each other. Mm-hmm. People move around to accommodate people. You know, there's certain people that like this certain booth or whatever. They'll move out of it and move to a different. I mean, it is crazy to watch. And I mean, I literally am just an observer in all of that in a lot of ways. It's just been amazing. And every time something amazing like happens there, that's just part of the community. And I will say, like Tina and Zena, you know, Tina owns it, but Zena, her sister, is, you know, there almost every weekend as well.
Yeah.
And they're
both awesome people.
They accommodate people. They're very appreciative of the music.
Yeah.
You know, just
that was I think that was my first ever gig.
Yes,
actually,
I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was.
Playing my own stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And they don't tell me like, oh, does the person have to have a following? Does they have to, you know, really crowd? Because people come to hear the music.
Yeah.
Gene, you know, Gene literally used to call the coffee shop every single week. Is there a musician? And they'd finally tell him, you know,
every
yes,
Saturday.
There is, you know. And so then I had to write up the list and give him a copy, you know, and he keeps track,
Nice.
you know.
Good.
He absolutely, if there's a change, which you know, he may or may not know it, he would be like, if you showed up and it was supposed to be like Marie Panette, he'd be like, this is not Marie Panette. That's who was on my schedule, you know. And I'm like, sorry, Gene, like, didn't really, you know.
Very cool place.
Yeah.
Now, I also saw recently, you were speaking of goals and stuff, you were just at an out-of-state fest. And I see that you're playing the Daffodil Fest in
I
state.
am playing the Daffodil
and
Festival.
That's very
Yeah.
cool.
And I have some gigs, out a little bit further, and and when I try to travel, I try to figure out how to get a gig here
Yeah,
and there.
yeah.
So I've been
Because of
very
Cape
lucky.
May, right? That was
Cape May was lovely, and honestly, for all those people that want to hear, Cape May is you fill out an application. You pay a $20 fee for the application, and then they let you know whether they've accepted you
Yeah.
onto the program. And they did give me a time slot, which was lovely. And I will say it is worth it to go because everybody there is a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Everybody that's playing, and it's all original, and people are amazing. And the Harriet Tubman Museum is in that town,
Oh, very cool.
which I obviously didn't know anything about until I got
But
there.
now you do.
And now I do, and I will probably play a song about Harriet Tubman because I was just taken by her. Not just because I knew who she was in history anyway, but just you learn so much more when you
Oh,
go
sure.
to a location and hear more about who that person is and what they've accomplished,
All right, so this is my song about Harriet Tubman. And I was inspired by being at Cape May and going to the Harriet Tubman Museum. She was 4'11", like me. 4'11", but taller in spirit than most. First trip took her to her freedom home. 13 more to get 70, family and friends. Moses was her nickname. Parted ignorance and greed. Walking miles to freedom, walking tired, walking long. Freedom's not a place, but a state of mind. No turning back, trips with not one person lost. Calming grown men to carry on. The other side of struggle is strength. She knew no one was coming to save the day. She had to save herself. Walking miles to freedom, walking tired, walking long. Freedom's not a place, but a state of mind. What can be learned from this history? Persevere forward toward equality. Group together, build the steps for the cause. Go for action, not just talk. Walking miles to freedom, walking tired, walking long. Freedom's not a place, but a state of mind. Walking miles to freedom, walking tired, walking long. Freedom's not a place, but a state of mind.
Welcome back. I am still here with Terri Lachance, and she has agreed to play From the Hip with me. That silly game where we just ask some slightly odder questions that may not have come up previous.
Okay.
And since you weren't here last time, I sometimes forget to ask it. It was a staple in this, but what's your stance on cannolis?
Love them.
Okay.
Anything with sugar.
All right.
I have an issue with sugar.
All right.
So there you go.
That's fair. You're in the majority on that one. It's
There
just
you
I
go.
have a thing. I have a thing. Who would you
Do you
say?
not like them?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. But everyone.
I just needed to know what the
everyone
truth was
talks about
there.
them like they're bacon or something.
No,
you know?
no,
It's
that's
like,
not. They're not my go-to.
Okay, but
They're okay. I like them.
very nice. Who would you say your favorite songwriter is that you don't know personally? Either
Yep, like
that
a
you like
famous
the
person?
most, or
like-
inspired you the most, or
So there's two. Bonnie Raitt,
very nice.
mostly because she was, to me, like a player. She wasn't a backup singer. She was a player.
She could slay.
Yeah, and she was like wonderful in that way. And she was, very, she brought in people from, the past and worked with them as well, collaborating, and kind of didn't let the old, traditions die out. And some of those people, she gave them credit where credit was due. And then Joan Baez.
Okay.
I actually sent my music to Joan Baez to try to see if she'd play it. And they told me she's 96 years old, like she's not accepting any more music. And I was like, darn.
Hey, you miss 100% of the attempts you don't make.
That's exactly
right?
it.
Do you recall what the first music that you ever purchased with your own money was? Be it vinyl or cassette or...
I'm almost sure, and it was kind of pushed on me a little bit because in high school, I think I literally did buy the Grateful Dead, something by the Grateful Dead, because they shocked me. Everything was so heavy metal, and when I was growing up and in my high school, I was like, this is not what I expected it to be. And everybody was talking about it, So it was kind of interesting.
Very cool. What would you say is the coolest bird you ever snapped a picture of?
A rainbow lorikeet in Australia.
Okay. Are they colorful like a
Very,
rainbow?
very, very colorful and like everywhere. So I arrived in Sydney, and they're like a crow. I mean, almost.
Just all over?
They're all over the place, and I was like, doesn't anybody notice?
Why are no one looking at this?
And I'm like taking my bag apart and getting my camera out, and people were just like, whoop, 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 walking past me, and they thought, oh, she's definitely a tourist.
Tourist, yeah, that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
How many different states have you lived in?
Woo, not as many as you would think. Probably 3.
Okay, well, we know one of them.
Connecticut, of course. I've lived in New Hampshire. I don't think, not the states. I've lived out of the country, but not in the country. I've visited states,
Sure.
but haven't lived in them. Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite farmer's market? And all the other ones will be mad at you.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't think I can do it because they're all really, really different. I mean, I like Madison because it's close to home, and that's kind of nice.
And it's big, and yeah, it's
Yep.
it's
But
wonderful.
I mean, to tell you the truth, the one I went to that I haven't been able to play at is Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah?
Burlington, Vermont
Burlington's
is like
a cool town.
is blocks and blocks and blocks of
Wow.
farmers market with all the people doing their artisan wares and the food and lots of people serving food from their restaurants and everything else. Like really, just an amazing farmers market.
And what is your go-to meal at Shayna B's?
Ooh. Right now it's the Buddha Bowl
All right, I understand. I've had that myself.
or the fried tofu wrap.
All right, that's all the questions I got for you, young lady. Thank
there
you
you
for
go.
playing this silly game.
All right.
So this song is called Annie Sullivan. She's a hero of a teacher because she worked with Helen Keller. Annie Sullivan was full of grit and determination. She saw what could be. She took the emotion out of it. Worked toward making Helen free. Was not easy what made her stay. 49 years, a teacher to one. She knew what it was like to be treated like she had to overcome. The walls of one multiplied by the other. They both had hills to climb. Two together were stronger than one. Symbiotic life. It was not easy, but made her stay. 49 years, a teacher to one. She knew what it was like to be treated like she had to overcome. Annie Sullivan was what a teacher should be. Seeing the promise of the future, not letting obstacles obscure reality. Her actions, testament to belief. It was not easy what made her stay. 49 years, a teacher to one. She knew what it was like to be treated like she had to overcome. Annie Sullivan was full of grit and determination. She saw what could be. She took the emotion out of it. Worked toward making Helen free.
All right, thank you once again for watching. We'll see you next month with another talented guest. In the meantime, remember you are the local in the local music scene, so please get out there and see a show. Remember our Facebook page will give you the weekend guide. You could find all these people playing in many places, and as summer wakes up, there'll be more and more places as well. We will see you next month. Thanks for watching.